All right, welcome back to F1P1 Life. I'm your host, Sean Kilburn, if you didn't know. And of course, it is race weekend. Yeah, I skipped right through race week. It is race weekend. So we have gone through a lot of the testing, of course, last weekend, and it's pretty much what everybody expected. You know, a lot of guessing, a lot of, expecting that Red Bull's on top. I don't think that's much of a stretch. And really not knowing where most of the field is. A lot of the field, especially over the last year, while Red Bull ran away with it, a lot of the field kind of bunched up a lot. And so I think that is the case this season. And a lot of people have made some progress. So, and then of course we have the Mercedes, kind of sandbagging like usual, but who knows, is it a sandbagging from, 2018 or is it a sandbagging from, 2022? There's a big difference. I do have the opinion that Mercedes is definitely going to be in contention, but I mean, even when they kind of weren't, they were pretty much best of the rest anyway, still fighting for second and third. So, I think that's kind of where it is. I will start right off with the pecking order for who's going to win at the Bahrain Grand Prix this weekend. So I'll start from P3. I'm going to go for Sainz. Yeah, that's right. Ferrari's going to come in P3, at least as far as I think. We'll see in a couple of days. Number 2, Lando. Yeah, that's right. I'm a big Lando fan. And beyond that, I just think that McLaren, while they didn't get as much testing laps in and so forth, and maybe the program didn't go exactly how they wanted, I think they are a really good team. Of course, they're a race winning team. They have all that legacy and just kind of motivation behind them, especially from the past few years. And we saw the way they built up, and it wasn't just by happenstance. So I think they are carrying that forward. And I will say, if you see the way they started off last season and how they were able to carry themselves, last season was a disaster when they started out. So to be starting out this season and kind of just working out some small kinks here and there and so forth. And again, we don't know where everybody is really, truly falling in the pecking order. So I think there is some pace in the car. They got an excellent driver lineup, and Lando is no slouch. So I think, there's going to be a little race magic. There's going to be some things to happen. Stay tuned. In a couple minutes, I'll give some predictions for the season and so forth. So you'll want to stay tuned for that and kind of see what I think. But, I think some of that race magic will kind of come into play. Do I think they're P3 right away, right off the gate? No, but I do want to say, or I should say even P2, but I do want to say that I think Lando will get P2 and P1, Verstappen. Yeah. It just is what it is. I'm not going to, beat that dead horse. So now I do want to run down the season real quick because I am going to get a few things. I'm going to get into a few things as far as my predictions for the season. Some things, stay tuned as well. In a couple minutes, I will jump right into Netflix. It won't be long, but I do want to touch on DTS. So anyway, quick 20-1. How's the pecking order going to be for the season? Well, I'll keep it quick. Sargent, he's going to come in last. But he's going to have a decent season. It's not going to be the worst. It's not going to be like last season. He's going to be okay. But Sargent, Hulkenberg, Guan Yu, Magnussen, Yuki, Albon, Bottas, Ocon, Ricciardo, Stroll, Gasly, Piastri, Alonso, Russell, Leclerc, Perez, Lando, Hamilton, Sainz, and Verstappen. So that's my predictions. We heard it right here. It's recorded. It's on the mic. So you know what I mean? Hopefully I'm not too far off. Hopefully by, mid-year, I'm looking somewhat reasonable and I don't need to go pack it up and go, move away somewhere. But, that's just kind of how I think things are going to roll out. And of course, as soon as we really see, because if you guys didn't know, which I'm sure you all do, if you're big F1 fans, which is probably why you're checking out this channel, this is a Saturday race. So everything's about to fall in quick. Usually I would try to, bang something like this out on Thursday. But hey, we're already going to be right into it tomorrow. So, the thing is, P1, just like every practice and practice 1 and practice 2, it's other than like Red Bull, Verstappen, especially just right away, just mashing in the laps. It's kind of finding the track, finding, the setup and so forth with the car. And that all makes sense. It's especially true this race because it is all new for all the teams as far as how things are going to go. Even for Red Bull, you know, they got the new concept. It's working really great, blah, 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 blah. But they still got to get it right. You saw what happened in Singapore. You know what I mean? It does matter still. You don't just have the best driver, the best car, and just automatically win every time. So I think we all know that. I guess needless to say, what that means is it's not going to be until, you know, Friday where we really kind of see most of the cars opening up. You know what I mean? And of course, sorry to cover the mic. I shouldn't be doing that. That's a YouTube fail right there. But of course, you know, once we get into qualifying, that's a more representative idea. But truly, once we're in the race and we see what the pace of these cars are like, are we going to kind of understand what this season's going to look like, at least for the first quarter of it? You know what I mean? Because there's going to be upgrades. There's going to be drivers stressing, not stressing, you know, finding their groove, all that kind of stuff. And that plays into it as the season goes out. But I think, you know, it'll kind of give us a clue. So hopefully I'm not too far off right away. But hey, you know, it's just a guess here. It doesn't really mean much. But I will say, Drive to Survive. I won't get on this long. I was going to do its own separate video, but it really doesn't need it. You know, Drive to Survive is out, season 6, blah, blah, blah. I'll say a couple of my favorite scenes. One that stuck out right away and I really had a chuckle about was Albon and Sargent in the car, and Albon breaking down what Netflix was going to do to Ricardo and how the whole comeback. I mean, and it was funny because it came, and they're smart. They put it after the whole Ricardo, you know, episode and so forth. So you already seen it play out, and then you hear him and he's spot friggin' on. And it's just funny, even if it didn't fall that way, it was just funny. He was just like, yeah, you know, Perez in the wall, cut to Ricardo at Silverstone, practice laps. Oh, he's fast. Like, it was just funny. Albon, I'm an Albon fan. I really am, and I don't know. I can't really say much more than that. He's just such a cool guy, and he's funny too. He's funny. He's very real, and he's funny, and he's definitely the kind of person that I would love to just hang out with. I think he's really chill. He would just be a fun time. You know what I mean? He's a cool guy. So I thought that episode and that scene especially was extremely funny, and just, you know, kudos to him. I think that was top 3 scene for me. What else? Oh, the Aston episode. I really liked that. I liked how the first couple episodes were more behind the scenes. I mean, everything kind of is with Drive to Survive, but those were really more so, you know, you saw, like, you know, the Aston Martin release party and so forth. Stroll, you know, the owner coming up on his boat and all this stuff, and got all the celebs there and some of the big names. Toto was there and stuff, and you know, they're going through how Stroll hurt his arm right after, or his hand and so forth, his leg, you know, right before the season opens. Yes, they show some of the racing, of course, in Bahrain, but, you know, and it was just really, and of course, some of that Alonso magic with the Aston, how it was just performing right away. But I just kind of like that. I like those few kind of first episodes, how they were kind of breaking it in. One thing that stood out to me as well was the Lawson and Yuki thing. You know, of course, there's that rivalry or whatever, and he was just kind of filling in for Ricardo while he was gone. But there was that one moment that you saw, like, he was talking, like, it was almost some bully stuff, but at the same time, I mean, they're grown guys. I mean, if you want to, you know, whatever, you know, it's racing, you know, it's all about that ego stuff. But he was like, oh, I'll pour this water on your head, and Yuki's like, you don't want to do that. And then Yuki was basically saying, like, then Lawson was like, whoa, what you gonna do? What would you even do about it? He was like, you don't want to find out, you'll be on the ground. So I'm like, wow, okay. So they, you know, I mean, you catch some of the guys swearing in the back or telling like a, you know, crude joke and stuff, and who cares? You know, it's all funny and whatnot, and stuff you don't really get to see when it's just, you know, press media day, and, you know, on track for, you know, and talking to the media after for, you know, qualifying and that kind of stuff. So all that's interesting, but that was like some serious, like, they were, I mean, and it could be the kind of Magnussen Hulkenberg thing where, like, a year later, none of them really care. It was just one thing. They were kind of half joking anyway, but, you know, a little serious. And, you know, it could be one of those things, but I was just like, okay. I mean, Lawson wants that seat. He was racing hard at first, so, you know, I don't blame him. What else? And then the whole Ferrari episode, I really enjoyed with Fred. I really like Fred. You know what I mean? And I think he was a great replacement for Bonotto. And I think it really, obviously from the team last year, you can see it's really kind of working. And I think this year it's going to play even more. And I think that's good because with Hamilton coming in, and I won't stretch it out, but with Hamilton coming in next year, you know, it gives Fred 2 years with the team to be synced in and so forth. And it's not like he needs to go and then, you know, work his ass off to go cater to Hamilton or something like that. But it's going to be a huge dynamics. You know what I mean? And I don't know how long, I can't even remember how long the contract's going to be with Ferrari, if they even said. But if I would think Hamilton wants to stick around for the new regs in 26. You know what I mean? So he's coming in 25. So there's going to be a lot of just like a lot of things really going on, and to be on top of the team like that, it's going to be really good. And I can kind of hear, even with this good microphone, I can kind of hear the rain and stuff. So I'm sorry if the rain's picking up outside. Hopefully my voice is kind of coming over that. It's not a big problem, but I'm going to move on anyway. So anyway, that Fred episode was good. You know, other than that, I really, you know, they went back to Singapore back to back because it was a big thing with like, you know, with Sainz obviously winning and so forth. And that was just, of course I wanted to see that. And I'm a Sainz fan too. So, you know, it was great to see, and the whole, you know, Ferrari and whatnot, like I just said. But then I understand why they brought it up for, you know, the whole AlphaTauri thing. But it was almost like there was so much content from Singapore replayed like an episode later, and it was just like, why am I watching all this? Like, I get it, once in a while they sneak in a little clip here and there that plays once or twice, like somebody's sneaky or like sly remark or like a big moment, and then they want to replay that big moment of a crash like a couple times, even when it's not really that crash. Just, all right, I get it, it's Netflix and all that, but it was just like, why am I watching so much of the Singapore thing again? And I'm somebody who loves Singapore. I love Singapore. If I can only go to a few F1 races, my wife already knows. I mean, Singapore, the whole layout is beautiful. I love the night race. I love street circuits. I love the whole Gran Turismo Forza vibe. You know what I mean? I just do. And so it's not like, so I'm not even a hater of Singapore. I really do love it. I love who won that race. It was just too much repetitiveness. I don't know. And there was so much other stuff. I felt like that was kind of a fail for Drive to Survive. And yeah, other than that, there was a lot of driver matchups. I mean, it's always the case. It's always what we consider throughout the year, because that's how you can really, you know, judge somebody as to how they're doing. But I mean, it doesn't have to be kind of like every episode. Well, this is this driver pairing. Well, this is that driver pairing. I don't know. I mean, there's been a few seasons now, but I guess for people that are just getting into it and, you know, it's their first time checking out Formula One, it kind of grasps on that and whatever. And, you know, hey, we got the whole season coming. So these are just my thoughts on A Drive to Survive. And lastly, my last thought before I move on is really that, you know, Buxton got better. I feel like, I felt like some of the earlier seasons and so forth, and it's still kind of the same Buxton, but yeah, but I just felt like his commentary in this was a little better. And maybe I need to go back and watch it. Maybe it was the same as always before, but I felt like it wasn't as like played up or ridiculous. And, you know, of course there was a few things where, you know, he like pushes into the narrative real quick and all that kind of stuff, but I just, you know, I just want to throw that out there. I thought, you know, good job, Buxton. I think at least, if anything, at least Netflix carried him a little better and so forth. So my predictions for this race, for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Yeah, that's right. It's right around the corner. Like I said, just a couple days away. So I'm predicting 2 DNFs in this race. That's right. Despite the reliability that has plagued us, I guess, in a good and bad way, because, you know, it means all the drivers get to keep driving, but it doesn't throw up as many curveballs. I do think in this race, we're going to see a couple curveballs. So I don't know who those DNFs are going to be, but I'm going to call 2 of those. I'm going to call that Lewis outraces Leclerc and Russell. I'm going to say that Albon will score points in this race. Yeah, I don't care what the car looks like, what it's set up for and so forth. Albon, yeah, Yeah, you're going to grab some points, at least one. And I'm going to call a red flag in the first 3 laps. So we'll know by the end of this weekend how it pans out. And of course, you can see me right back here on F1P1 Life. Of course, I'll do a follow-up at the end of the race, at least just so I can recap how things went over the weekend and so forth. So stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that like button as well. And yeah, and then I'll just move on to some season predictions because, hey, I don't want to go into the technical specs of every car and this and that. We've seen all this analysis coming forth. There's a lot of other channels for that. So this is going to be easy and lighthearted. I won't keep it much more than this. Season predictions. Sainz and Hamilton are both going to outdo Leclerc in the points total for the Drivers' Championship. I'm going to call a Lando win. Yes, maybe I called it last season, but I'm calling it again. Lando's going to get that W. I don't know what track it's going to be. And hey, it may even be more than one, so stay tuned. And Albon podium. Yeah, that's right. I'm a Lando Albon fan, like I said, so maybe that's some bias right there, but I think it's really going to happen. As far as driver switches, ooh, let me get a sip because this is going to be interesting. I'm going to say that Ricciardo is going back to Red Bull in 2025. He's going to do his job here in the RB. You know, rest in peace to AlphaTauri, whatever, however it's going these days with the names. But he's going to be back in Red Bull. Yes, that's right. That means Checo, I'm sorry, he's getting the boot. I think he's going to have a pretty decent season. And I will say, tangent real quick. Checo did say that he's going to focus more on his racing. He knows that he's not going for the championship. He's going to follow and just focus on his racing. I think that is a good call. I think he should have done that a season ago. I think he's going to do well, but I think there's going to be so many other teams that are kind of caught up at this point that the gap for the Red Bull isn't going to be as much throughout the whole season. And he's not Verstappen, even like he said. So he's not going to be capitalizing and maximizing on that car every time. So I just think he's going to have an okay season, but he's going to get the boot. Now, I am questioning. It's hard because I don't think he'll want to go down to the lower, sister team of the RB, but he may if he really wants to stay in Formula One, because otherwise I'm not quite sure what he's going to do. And I say that because I say this. Everybody knows that Sainz might go to Audi in 2026, but what is he going to do for the remaining season? I think he may tag back up with Red Bull and go to the RB team and take Ricciardo's seat. Now, yeah, that's a downgrade from Ferrari, but mind you, he is waiting for his time to get into another seat. And yes, I know the Mercedes seat is open, so you're probably like, Sean, what are you talking about? Mercedes is going to be all over him. I kind of think so. They're playing their cards. Of course, he's on their charts, but it's not like he's not worthy of the Mercedes seat. Let me get that out in the open and clear right now. But I think Mercedes is looking long term. That's also why they brought George Russell in. You know what I mean? They didn't just bring in another older driver. Like, they wanted somebody, and Russell's been training for it and so forth. We all know. So, I think with Hamilton, it was different. They would have kept extending his contract, of course. But I think now, if they think that Sainz is going to be, off to some other team, and if that is Sainz's true intention, they're not going to want to have Sainz for just one season and then have to do this all over again. They're going to want continuity. They're going to want to show, that they have their all their marbles together and that they're working and that, that kind of thing. So that's why I think Sainz may, because not AlphaTauri anymore, RB, I don't think Red Bull has any problem with bringing a driver like Sainz back. They know his performance still, and they have so many people in the lineup. They would love to just grab some points, build that team up real quick, and then be like, yeah, Sainz, thank you. We appreciate it. Go do your thing. We'll do our thing. Bring another driver in. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen. And I think that Mercedes is probably going to be looking more towards Kimi. Unfortunately, I don't think they're looking towards Schumacher. I think they're going to keep him as a reserve driver and, kind of situation at best. I would love to see Mick back in the lineup at some point, but I just don't. I think they're ready to bring Kimi in. They want a strong another duo like Hamilton and Rosberg, a Russell and Kimi, and I think that's how they're going to move. Other predictions. I think it's going to be a difficult season for Verstappen. Yeah, I said it. So maybe we'll see it come true. Now, I do think Verstappen's going to win the championship, but I think it's going to be a difficult season. And despite the car probably even being better than before, I just think that's how the chips are going to fall. There's going to be some mess ups with the team. There's going to be some 1 or 2 driver errors. There's going to be some times where there's reliability. I think it's going to be one of those seasons where Verstappen, again, like 2021, is going to have to work for it. I think it won't be as tight. It's not going to come down to the last race, last lap, but he's going to be working for it. And I think he's going to be building for him as well. I think that's just what I'm predicting. I am going to predict that Haas won't finish last. Seems like their car's doing okay. I just think, switch in technical director. I'm sorry to see, Gunther go, but, I just think that they're going to take a little step forward. I think there's going to be more than 3 race winners as well. So let's stay tuned. Hopefully that comes true. That'll be nice for the sport. We really do need it. We need more race winners, and hopefully one of them's Lando. And I'm going to predict a 4-way battle for the Constructors Championship, at least through the first half of the year. Of course, Verstappen can end up running away with it enough where just his points alone, like last year, is enough to just kill the championship. But I'm going to predict a 4-way. So I think it's going to be an interesting season. And, I almost forgot. Probably an easy gimme. Maybe another technical director for Alpine. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 this year. Who knows how many they're going to go through. I'm not putting that one on the board, but I had to throw it out there. That probably wasn't a nice jab, but hey, I got to come up with something, And yeah. I'm going to also predict that Lawson takes Sargent's seat. I think even though Sargent's going to have a decent season, I think Williams, especially if Albon performs the way he did last time, there is pace in the car. There is advancement in that team. And I'm not quite sure. And Lawson definitely proved, he had the minerals to perform. So, I think while Sargent may have a slightly better season, and I saw him, he's pumped, he's ready and all that, I'm not quite sure it's going to pan out. I really hope it does. I really want an American driving. I'm here in America. I'm proud American. I want, American races. I want American race teams. I want American drivers. But hey, I'm a Formula One fan, and that's just how I think it's going to land. So let me know what you think about everything I just said in the comments section down below. Sure, roll it on me. Tell me how wrong I am about everything. That's fine. We can have a conversation down there. Be sure to hit the subscribe and like button as well. I appreciate you watching F1P1 Life, and I can't wait for the race this weekend. Formula One is back, baby. It is back. See you guys later.